Good day and welcome, Marianne Mayer. How are you?
I'm doing great. Great to be with you on the show. Thanks for having me.
Well, welcome, and thank you for taking the time to be here with us today. So, the city of Burlington is doing so much, but not many people know this. But the city of Burlington is actually submitting an expression of interest with regards to the purchase of Robert Bateman High School, and correct me if I'm wrong, in association with the Brock University. So, what's behind the drive of the purchase here?
Well, the high school was closed by the Halton District School Board a few years ago. And the board then goes through a process of just determining whether they need to keep that school for any other purpose, adult education or administrative offices, or renting it to other users. And they've decided that it is surplus to their needs. They don't need it anymore. And so about a year ago, they said it is surplus to us. So we're going to offer the whole thing, the school, the property, for sale.
Oh,
And under provincial regulations, there are some groups that get to bid first before the regular market or development interests or such like that. So one of those in the queue early on is municipalities. So after we as a council then said, look, we're really interested in submitting an offer. So over the past year, we have been working with the school board uh, to negotiate an offer to purchase the whole school. And as part of that, we had been in discussions with Brock University. They wanted to bring their adult education campus to Burlington. They thought that Bateman would be a great spot for that, but they only need a tiny fraction of the school. The school
okay.
is huge. It is over 200,000 square feet. And so we began discussions with a number of other groups to see, who would like to be in there. There's a city pool already there that we don't own, so this will help us gain ownership of that. The library that is in Ward 5, our Burlington Public Library, is outgrowing their space in the retail plaza on Appleby Line.
Okay.
So they thought they could move in there. Halton District School Board did want to keep some space. And so this was revealed to the public back in November. There was a whole bunch of groups and users that wanted to participate. And even with all of that, there's still space left over. So we're
Wow.
still we're still negotiating with the school board. We hope to have the details of that public very soon. So stay tuned, and also do some discussions with the community about what we can do with the additional space because there's still space left over.
So walk me through. The Halton District School Board, as you said, says, "Hey, we no longer need this building," and it becomes a surplus. What does that really look like? Is it just there's not enough, young kids going to school, the demographic has changed, or they're just kind of saying, "Hey, this school is too far over here, and we're going to move people to a different location." How does it become a surplus? Like, I don't understand that.
That
How that
oh, that was a big process, a difficult process, controversial for the community. Some years ago, it started in around 2017,
wow.
where the school board undertakes what's called a program accommodation review, and they review all of the schools, the population numbers, to determine if they still need all the schools that they have. And what they
Wow.
discovered is that because of declining enrollment at Robert Bateman, it was underutilized, the school. They also, as part of the very same process, closed Lester P. Pearson High School. So there were two schools that they felt they didn't need given their existing student numbers. And a big part of that is people aren't having as many kids as they used to. And so, gone are the days of five or six or more kids. It's sort of 1.7 or two. And so even though there are still families obviously living in Burlington, the student population has decreased. And so the school board felt, and the board of trustees made that decision. I participated in that process as a parent. My kids at the time were in Halton District School Board. And so they chose to close those two schools. And Pearson is actually still being used by the school board. They've rented it out to actually the Catholic board when that school was doing renovations. and they've got tenants for some other uses. So they have not yet declared Pearson surplus. They're keeping it right now in their facility. But that's how the process works. So the school board determines what are the needs going forward, and they closed Bateman and then offered it out for purchase. And so, as I said, we were sort of one of the first in line to bid. We did as soon as we had the chance. And I will say that City Council has recently adopted a policy that we will make an offer on any
Wow.
closed school site that becomes surplus to the school board's needs, because we know that these are important community amenities, that there are often large parks around them. And the best way for us to control what happens there is to buy it and to work with the community to see, do we want affordable housing here? Do we want a combination of jobs? Do we want a community center, or a combination of all of those on the same parcel? So we are committed to doing that as a council, and the first up at bat was Bateman.
Wow. So Bateman's going to be turned into still an educational building, but kind of this city of Burlington mecca for almost anything community by the sounds of it.
Well, it'll be the largest community center by the time we're done, plus a university, plus Halton District School Board is shifting their adult education from Gary Allen on New Street over. So it'll have
Wow.
a library, it'll have a gym, it will have a pool, and then there's still some community rooms left over. So it will be the largest community center in the city once all is said and done.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a very, very exciting project. And I'm really looking forward to the next steps once we get the ink sealed on the deal, and then we can start to talk to the community about what else we can do in this space. And I've already had people suggesting ideas for what they'd like to see. A number of people have compared it to the Queen Elizabeth Gardens Cultural and Community Center in Oakville, which is just across the border from Burlington. And they've turned that into an incredible community center. But it was a former high school too that was
Wow.
closed. So I did a tour with the mayor of Oakville, Rob Burton, some months ago when we were looking at buying Bateman to see what the possibilities were. And I was just so inspired. I know the community, many of the community members that live in that part of the city, they go there because we don't have something similar in Burlington. So Bateman will be that opportunity for us to have our own community and cultural center right here in the city, in that part of the city.
Well, that's really cool. Now, not many people really understand all of the roles of holding office. Do you find yourself interacting with other mayors from different municipalities or townships on a daily or weekly basis?
You know what? I rely on those other mayors because I'm a new mayor, as you know. I was elected the first time mayor in 2018. I had served as councillor for 2 terms, but it's very different. It is a very, very different role between councillor and mayor. And so I do sit on the Ontario Big City Mayors Caucus, and that's a group of 29 mayors across Ontario that serve communities with a population of greater than 100,000. And of course, we in Burlington are closing in on 200,000. So I've found being at that table, especially through the pandemic, to be incredibly helpful as a new mayor, learning from the voices. And we've done a lot of joint advocacy to the province around things like safe restart funding for our municipalities because of the pandemic, whole host of other things. I also speak regularly with my fellow Halton mayors and regional chairs. So, of course, Burlington is part of Halton Region, which includes Milton, Oakville, Halton Hills, and then we have our regional chair as well. So we call ourselves the Five Amigos. we did. I convene meetings of that group sometimes weekly or every other week during the pandemic, depending. And again, found being able to rely on the experience of those mayors who had all been in it much longer than me. Of course, Gord Krantz is the longest serving mayor in the country,
Wow.
surpassed Hazel McCallion's record some time ago. Just turned 85 this week, so happy birthday to Gord. And I also sit on the Association of Municipalities of Ontario Large Urban Caucus. And so I try to represent Burlington at any table that I can for not only to bring Burlington's voice to policy development or advocacy, but also to learn from and hear what other municipalities are doing. So it's been a great resource for me, especially as a new mayor.
Wonderful. Well, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back.